Okay, it's been 6 days. It's Saturday afternoon now. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this one day early because I promised some people I'd give them some compost tomorrow. So now every day I came in here in the morning and the afternoon and I wetted down this newspaper and also put a little bit of water onto the bait tray. So let's take a look at them now. I haven't watered them this afternoon. You can tell they're dried out already just in 7 hours. Now if you look at that, it's kind of interesting. The compost is still really moist, but yet when you look at it, you can see these cracks that are running along it. This one isn't too bad. I think one of the others is a little bit more. Let me pull one of these others off. Yeah, I mean like right here, that this crack that runs along here and the crack that runs along here. Interesting, it looks like there's a cocoon right there, but I don't know if it's hatched or not. Anyway, when you look at these, like I said, the material's definitely dried out a little bit, but I mean it's still really moist. It feels nice and cool, soft in the hands. You dig through here, you can't find any worms. I mean, I haven't been able to see any just with light digging. I'm sure there's some here and there, but for the most part it looks pretty good. So I'm real curious to see how many worms are in each of the bait trays. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up, set one tray on here, and then I'll put up a white tray over here that I can dump the worms into. And so we'll pull each of these mortar trays down one at a time, and we'll pull out the bait tray and see how many worms are in each one of them. Okay, this is the first mortar tray. So let's go ahead and pull out the bait tray and see what we have. Looking inside here, I see one worm right there. Digging along it. No. Oops, I saw one more there somewhere. There's one. Very few. I mean, there's a couple hanging out here along the side, but really I don't hardly see any. So if I open that up a little bit, you can definitely, I can see some worms there. Yeah, I mean you can definitely see worms in there. I'm going to go ahead and set this other tray up here and then go ahead and knock this thing out. So let's see what it looks like. Look at those worms. There's a lot of worms there. So I'd say this one is pretty successful. There's quite a few that are pretty small. I only see a couple large ones, so I think for the most part these are probably worms that hatched in the bin right away or real small and passed through the sieve, but now after a couple months they're getting quite a bit larger. So let me pull the other mortar tray up here. We'll pull it out and see what we have in that too. Okay, this is a second mortar tray. Let's go ahead and pull it up and see what it looks like. Pulling it out. Looking around the inside, there's one worm. That's all I see is one. So let me go ahead and put this tray up here again. I'll dump these right here next to the other one. Take off the lid. And right off the bat I can say I mean, I would have never ever thought there were that many worms in that compost. I don't know if any of you guys would have, but I surely didn't. I mean, this thing is just loaded with worms again. And again, I mean, a lot of them are really small worms. Look at the size of some of these. They look like they only hatched a matter of a week ago. The biggest ones are not very big. I don't see any mature worms in here. No. I mean, there may be one or two, but for the most part these are all really small juveniles. So number 2 I'd say is very successful too. I'll scoot it over. I'm just going to grab the 3rd one and bring it over here right now. Pull it out of the tray here. I did see one worm in there on the edge. So, same thing, let's go ahead and pop this one down. No, a lot of worms. This thing is loaded with them. I mean, I have enough worms right here to start up a new system pretty easily. I mean, there has to be, oh, I don't know, I bet you there's 1,000 worms between all 3 of these. I mean, some of them are really, really tiny, but it doesn't take, 1,000 worms doesn't take up that much space. So, I mean, there's one mature worm right there. So there's one that must have been missed that I didn't see in there. But there are very, very few mature worms in here. So folks, that's it. I think this is a real simple method and a very effective method of getting most of the worms out of your finished castings. There's definitely some criteria on doing it. You know, you need to run your compost that you pull out of your system, run it through a screen, and after you run it through a screen you're going to end up with something like this. This is stuff I put in here just the other day. So this is basically finished castings that have gone through an 1/8" screen, and they've only been sitting here now for a couple days. So these are going to sit here for a couple months actually, or at least a month and a half before I do this same separation on them. This is the first one again. A couple months from now I'll have 6, 7 of these at least. And if you do it this way, there's hardly any food in this material. So when you put those bait trays in here, those worms are really going to go to it. So too, also make sure those bait trays have some really good food in it, not fresh vegetables, things that are already decomposing. If you try doing the separation with material like this, it's not going to work very well. Because just looking at this, you can see a lot of food in this material right here. This is composted material. It's fine, it came out of the bottom of the bin, but you need to run this first through a screen to collect basically all the big chunks, uncomposted thing, any food that's in here. And once you run it through a screen, you'll end up with material that's like this. And then you can go ahead and let it sit for that month, month and a half. And then go ahead and put it in a bin like this, put the bait tray in, and you'll have really good success. So, if you like these videos, please give them a thumbs up. And till next time, this is Tom from VermiBag. Ciao.